Miguel.
Hello everyone, my name is Ann Marie Beale, minister of Unity Church of the Cumberlands. This week I've been thinking about human behavior, more specifically our willpower. We all have a certain amount of willpower. For instance, Michael found out this week that M&M's peanuts have a new flavor called coffee bean. Now I have to check my willpower, whether I will eat too many of them or whether I won't. My willpower will determine that. It's a choice. You know, some people are more willful than others. My mother always tells the story that she raised 5 daughters, and first she had 3 perfectly well-behaved daughters, and then she rolls her eyes and said, and then I had Anne Marie. And it wasn't that I was bad, I just didn't go with the status quo. I didn't color inside the lines. Even in church on Sunday, I usually got a spanking after I got home because I'd misbehaved in church. Even at that young age, I was rebelling against traditional organized religion. Well, our human will, is one of the 12 powers of the Christ. We all know when Jesus called forth his 12 apostles, metaphysically, we're calling forth the attributes that each apostle demonstrated. We're calling forth those attributes in ourselves. And so I thought it would be fun once a month to take each one of the 12 powers and go deeper into what they mean. At Christmas time, we light the candles for the 12 powers of the Christ. But each month, let's go deeper into truly understanding what each power means. And I'd like to start with June and July, and we're doing them together because the powers for the month are will and understanding. And will and understanding are the 2 powers that almost always go together when we talk about them. As you understand them in a deeper way, you'll know why. So the 2 apostles that represent will and understanding are Thomas and Matthew. And the area in the body where we experience the power is the right front brain and the left front brain. The colors are silver and gold, which are alchemical colors. The silver being our human nature, and the transforming gold, which is our divine nature. They also stand for the ancient symbols, the sun and the moon, the sun being the light of God, and the moon being the reflection of that light. So there's divine will and our human will, which is a reflection of divine will. Now let's go back to the apostles. It's very ironic that the doubting Thomas was the one that we say expresses spiritual understanding. But if you look at it closer, doubting leads to questions, and questions lead to understanding. So it really fits quite nicely together. I relate to that because my Gemini mind, my questioning mind, always wants to know why. I don't think the nuns fully appreciated that in me when I was younger and in school. How come? Why? Proverbs 4:7 reminds us, with all thy getting, get understanding. The importance of understanding. And there are many ways to grow in understanding. Asking questions, searching for answers. There's the school of hard knocks. Anybody out there like to live with my will be done? That's the school of hard knocks. How's that working for you? Another way is when you partner your will with spiritual understanding and surrender to the higher will, the flow of life takes you to a higher and greater experience. Now, Matthew represents the will. And Matthew was a government tax collector. You could say the executive power of the government. And so metaphysically, what is that in me? The executive power of my mind which wills all the other powers I have as to where to show up, how to act, what to do, when to do it. We choose, we will it. In other words, I choose when I say I can, I will, I am. That's the progression of the will. I can, I will, I am. What a powerful progression. Now Matthew followed Jesus' request when he walked by and said, "Come, follow me." Matthew was in harmony with the higher will of the Christ, and he followed that higher calling. And it can feel uncomfortable to think of divine will when we think of it as a being outside of ourselves telling us what to do, that it might be something we don't want to do. But God's will and ours are one when you know that that higher self is your higher divine nature. If human will is joined with spiritual understanding of our union with the divine, we're not giving way to a power outside ourselves, but our higher nature. And we can trust in that nature to take us to a higher and better life experience. One of the key unity principles is God's will and mine are one. On the higher level, God's will and mine are one. Charles Fillmore had a beautiful statement about this, and he uses the old language from back in the 1800s, talking of God as He, so we translate that in our minds. But he talked about God being the underlying essence of all when he said, God's will is the ceaseless longing of the Creator to fulfill Himself in and through and as that which He created. God's will for you is perfect life, perfect wisdom, perfect love. Isn't that beautiful? God's will is the ceaseless longing of the Creator to fulfill itself in you. How powerful, how wonderful. And so we look at an age-old question. Is life predestined? Is it all about fate? Or do we have free will? Well, it's a little bit of both, but let's look at it this way. Fate leaves a lot to chance. Predestiny relieves us of any responsibility for our lives. But free will, partnered with spiritual understanding, pulls us toward that higher and greater expression, and it's always our choice whether to follow that pull or not. It's kind of a paradox. Charles Fillmore reminded us that as humans may assume to have a mind of our own, but our origin and our destiny are in God's mind. God does not dictate our acts, although God may instruct and draw us through love away from error, away from that which would not be for our highest and best. So if you're brave enough, would you repeat with me? I am in harmony with God's will for me. Together, I am in harmony with God's will for me. It's a powerful prayer. Takes you into that flow that takes you higher. Now, that pull or that flow, it was what drew me to Unity Village early on. I lived in Minnesota, and our family was taking a trip to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. My sister lived not too far from there. And we realized before we left, we had a Unity Daily Word, and we realized that Unity Village was on the way to where we were going. So we just happened to stop in, and while I was there, I just happened to pick up a ministerial school catalog. The rest is history. Do you see how that pulls us in the flow of what we need to do in our lives? God's will is the ceaseless longing of the Creator to fulfill itself in you as you. How beautiful is that? Now at the same time, Jesus did not teach a doctrine of submission. We're not talking about submission. And any system that teaches submission is radically wrong. We always have a choice. It's up to us, even if you're an ant. There's a cute little story. It's a traditional story, but it works. That we don't always know how or why we're led to do something or be somewhere or help someone. We just go in the flow of what's before us. And in this story, a woman named Brenda was up mountain climbing. And as she was climbing the mountain, one of her safety ropes broke, kind of hit her in the face, and she lost a contact lens. As she was looking down for it, someone yelled from down below, "Has anybody lost a contact lens?" You see, an ant was moving along the ground, carrying that contact lens, so someone was able to see it because the ant was carrying it across the ground. Now, Brenda's father later heard the story, and he was a cartoonist, so he drew a picture of the ant carrying this contact lens, and he created a caption for it. It went like this: "God, I don't know why you want me to carry this thing. I can't eat it and it's awfully heavy, but if this is what you want me to do, I'll carry it." It's a cute little story showing that wherever we are, whatever is before us, we don't know the higher purpose. We just follow the flow with spiritual understanding, knowing that we are in union with God, in union with all, with everyone and all things, and that all things work together for good. So, going back to the power of our will to choose, each of the 12 powers needs that willpower to activate that power into action. For instance, if you want wisdom, we will that wisdom to come forth. We will the strength to come forth, and so on and so on. The simple statement, Charles Fillmore reminds us, "I will to be well." That simple statement, "I will to be well," gathers the forces of mind and body about the central idea of wholeness. So if you're comfortable, repeat that with me. I will to be well. I will to be well. And all the forces of the universe come together to support that statement. All cultures have story of the human will. The Zen movement likes to remind us that life and death are in our hands. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a wise old teacher and a very young man who was a bit rebellious and didn't want to listen to the older man. He wanted to discredit the wisdom of the wise old man. So he asked the old man, "Is this bird in my hand alive or dead?" The wise man knew that if he said it was dead, the boy would show him the live bird to discredit him. And if he said it was alive, the boy would kill the bird, crush it, and produce a dead bird. So the wise old man replied, "It is as you will it, my son. It is as you will it. Our destiny is in our hands. As we will it, with spiritual understanding or with our own will be done, will determine the outcome." And that's why Proverbs 3:13 reminds us, "Happy are those who find wisdom, and those who get understanding, for she is more profitable than silver, more valuable than gold. She is more precious than rubies and jewels, and nothing you desire can compare to her." I invite you to join us on our Zoom meeting today. We're gathering at 11:30, back to our old time again, 11:30. And today's music will be Michael and the Native American flute. But first, let's have our love offering like we do every Sunday when we're together in church. We thank all of you who are supporting Unity Church of the Cumberlands during this time of social distancing. And if you would like to donate, Simply go on our website, unitycookville.org, and click the donate button, or you can mail your gifts to 823 East 10th Street, Cookeville, Tennessee, 38501. Now let's do our offertory blessing that we pray together each Sunday. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And now, Michael Beale on the Native American flute. And along with the beautiful tone of the flute, we begin an act of surrender, of letting go of our human willfulness, of our human need to know, to be in control. We let that go, and we allow the flow of divine love to flow in and through our life, to guide, to direct us, to answer to that pull that is urging us forward. And we bless whatever is before us, knowing the higher purpose, showing us the way to a greater, more expanded freedom in living. And we relax into the deep surrender of thy will be done, the higher will in me. My higher self knows the way. And I allow that pull, I allow that flow as a blessing in my life. And now we just relax into the flow of the music and the joy and the flow. And so it is. Amen.